Aerosmith were one of the most popular hard rock bands of the 70s, setting the style and sound of hard rock and heavy metal for the next 2 decades with their raunchy bluesy swagger. The Boston-based quintet found the middle ground between the menace of the Rolling Stones and the campy, sleazy flamboyance of the New York Dolls, developing a lean, dirty riff-oriented boogie that was loose and swinging and as hard as a diamond. In the meantime, they developed a prototype for power ballads with Dream On, a piano ballad that was orchestrated with strings and distorted guitars. Aerosmith's ability to pull off both ballads and rock and roll made them extremely popular during the mid-70s, when they had a string of gold and platinum albums. By the early 80s, the group's audience had declined as the band fell prey to drug and alcohol abuse. However, their career was far from over. In the late 80s, Aerosmith pulled off one of the most remarkable comebacks in rock history, returning to the top of the charts with a group of albums that equaled, if not surpassed, the popularity of their 70s albums. And here are facts about Aerosmith. That time Joe Perry quit. It's easy to assume that Aerosmith is one of those bands that's always had a stable lineup. Surely Steven Tyler and Joe Perry have always been around, getting on each other's nerves like a stateside. In fact, as Ultimate Classic Rock tells us, the Toxic Twins did in fact spend a good chunk of what might have been the most fruitful years of their career apart. In 1979, an escalating series of on-the-road arguments culminated to a backstage fight that led to Tyler drunkenly firing Perry from the band. While everyone involved retrospectively recognizes Perry's ensuing departure as a bad move, the fans made their feelings clear from the beginning. While the Night in the Ruts album from the same year was a decent success, the band started spiraling soon afterwards, falling out of favor with their label and audiences alike thanks to a dwindling creative spark that gave the world the underwhelming Rock in a Hard Place album. Aerosmith and drugs. The members of Aerosmith, as you may have gathered if you're even passingly familiar with the band, have been known to be quite liberal when it comes to drugs. Steven Tyler and Joe Perry in particular are quite open about their history of drug addiction, with Perry admitting he was whacked out on heroin during his own wedding in 1975. In an interview with Louder, Tyler reminisced about the days of 1977's Draw the Line, when he was so out of it from Valium and muscle relaxers that he couldn't walk properly and had trouble uncrossing his eyes. The singer also estimates that he's spent $6 million on cocaine alone over the years. Judging by how everyone involved is still alive, it seems the band members have cleaned up in their later years. But as The Fix notes, this took Tyler a whopping 8 stints in rehab, the last one being in 2009. Of course, the Toxic Twins have managed to find ways to go overboard even during their cleaner periods. For instance, during their drug-free tour for 1989's Pump, they had a juicer and ended up drinking so much carrot juice that their palms and the soles of their feet went orange. The revenge of the Aerosmith road crew. Members of Aerosmith have been known to be fairly indulgent, and as such, they have not always been the easiest people to tour with. And according to singer Steven Tyler's memoir Does the Noise in My Head Bother You?, their road crew didn't always care for the band members' antics. However, they had their own ways to cope with the situation. Whenever the band made the technical crew's blood boil, the roadies had a stealthy measure of revenge by sneaking up to the band's catering and wiping their behinds on the musicians' deli meats. Tyler says he was completely unaware that some of the bologna slices on their menu had been spiced in a rather unsanitary way until years later, when one of the band's roadies confessed to what went down. Aerosmith close call with the law. With the amount of drugs Steven Tyler and Joe Perry alone took during the first half of their careers, it's not exactly shocking that the members of Aerosmith have risked running afoul of the law on occasion. In 2017, bassist Tom Hamilton and guitarist Brad Whitford told NME about a particularly close call from back in the day. The group was driving to a gig on the New Jersey Turnpike when a police car unexpectedly pulled them over, which was a problem, because they were carrying 2 bags of marijuana. The police officers suspected as much, and when a cursory search led to the discovery of a pot seat in the back, all 5 men were handcuffed to a roadside railing, and when a search of the car failed to locate the drugs, taken to the police station. There's no telling what would have happened to them if it wasn't for Tyler's quick thinking. He noticed that the room next to the one where they were being held had its door open and lights off, so he took the drug-filled bags from Whitford and quickly tossed them in the dark space, and that's when the lights flickered on as a detective entered and took the band for fingerprinting. However, the police failed to notice the bags and they allowed the rockers to go about their merry way. They made it to the show and were rewarded for their troubles with a crowd of dozen or so people. Aerosmith and the Philadelphia Incident. It's easy for a touring rock band to develop favorite cities and venues as well as ones they'd probably prefer to avoid. As Ultimate Classic Rock tells us, Aerosmith is no exception. In fact, at the early stages of their career, the band members spent around a year boycotting the city of Philadelphia. To be fair, they did have their reasons. In 1977, they were playing a concert in the city, when someone in the audience unexpectedly threw something on the stage. That something turned out to be a cherry bomb which promptly exploded, catching singer Steven Tyler and guitarist Joe Perry in the blast. The bomb burned Tyler's cornea and ruptured an artery in Perry's hands so badly that there was blood shooting from his arm. The incident forced them to take some time off the road, and it soured them so badly that they turned down all offers to play in Philadelphia until 1978. Their eventual return to the city of brotherly love probably didn't do much to warm them to the place, as Tyler was promptly injured again when someone threw a beer bottle on stage, and flying shards of glass bloodied his face.